The tracks are still warm. You can feel it when you press your fingers into them. You've been following them since the light was good. And the light is not good anymore. Here's the problem. You don't know where the camp is. The ground has gone dark. The grass is black. Behind you, nothing. Ahead, nothing you can actually see. And for the first time all day, it's quiet, not the good quiet. The other kind, the kind where the loudest thing in the world is your own breathing. So you stop. You listen. Nothing answers. No voices. No footsteps. Nobody calling your name. You are alone. And the thing that drops into your chest right then, that cold weight, is not sadness. It's dread. It's your own body screaming one sentence at you, over and over. Get back to people now. That feeling has a name. It's the oldest one you own. You felt a version of it last week, staring at your phone. And here's the strange part. Ancient humans didn't survive that feeling by toughing it out. They survived it by listening to it. We like to think loneliness is a modern invention. Phones, empty apartments, one person eating dinner over a screen at 11 at night. But the feeling is so much older than any of that. Older than cities, older than farming, possibly older than language itself. Because loneliness is not a flaw in you, it's an alarm. And alarms don't show up by accident. Something built that. Go back far enough, millions of years, being separated from your group wasn't just a mood you had to manage. It could become a death sentence. Nobody to watch the dark while you slept. Nobody to help you carry a kill. Nobody to bring you water when you were too hurt to stand. So evolution did something ruthless. It wired isolation to feel like dying, because for most of human history, that's exactly what it was. A single human on the savannah was not a survivor. A single human was a meal. How ancient humans survived loneliness. Not by getting over it, by never facing it alone. Start here. You were never built to be alone, not for a second. For almost all of human history, you were born into a small band, often somewhere around 205 to 50 people. Not friends you texted, not followers, not colleagues. People you saw every single day, from the day you were born to the day you died. You woke up next to them. You ate with them, hunted with them, slept close enough to touch them. There was no empty apartment or locked front door waiting for you. Daily life happened overwhelmingly around other people. Coming home night after night to an empty room simply wasn't the normal human arrangement. Among the Jew-Hansi people of the Kalahari, one of the last hunting and gathering peoples on Earth, adults spend much of the day in one another's company, talking, grooming, just being near. There's no schedule for it, it's simply where life happens. Be honest, a lot of us don't get that in a week. And that grooming detail is not a throwaway. Picking through each other's hair was never only about lice. It was touch. And touch is tied to a chemical called oxytocin. The same one released between a mother and a newborn. Touch that tells your nervous system, without a single word, you are safe, you are known, you belong here. Every day, for free. But that band wasn't a social circle. Let's be clear about that. It was your life support system. Hunting big animals took a team. Watching the camp at night took many sets of eyes. Getting sick or badly hurt took somebody willing to feed you while you healed. So what happened to the person who lost all of it? We actually have an answer. And it isn't a theory, it's a skeleton. In a cave in Iraq, archaeologists found a Neanderthal they call Shanidar 1, 50,000 years old. Look at what this man survived. A crushing blow near his eye, and probably lost some vision with it. His right hand and forearm, gone. And the bones of his ears show he was largely deaf. A blind, deaf, one-armed man in the Ice Age. He lived to roughly 40. That's old for a Neanderthal. Think about what that means. He could not have hunted alone. He could not have heard the predator coming. His survival strongly suggests other people helped him. Someone may have shared food, protected him, compensated for the things he could no longer do. That is what the group was. The difference between living to 40 and being eaten at 20, which raises the obvious question. If losing your people was that dangerous, how did your brain know it was happening? The same way it knows you're hungry, or thirsty, or bleeding. It hurts. In 2003, a neuroscientist named Naomi Eisenberger slid people into a brain scanner, and had them play the most trivial game imaginable. Catch, on a screen. 2 other players tossing a ball back and forth. Then, without warning, the other players stopped throwing it to them. That's it, just left them out of a game that meant absolutely nothing. And the scan lit up. Not a sadness region, a region that also fires when you feel physical pain. The anterior cingulate cortex. Sit with that. Your brain treats being left out and being hurt through overlapping circuits. To your nervous system, the difference is thinner than you'd think. A researcher named John Cacioppo spent decades chasing this, and his conclusion was simple and a little terrifying. Loneliness is not a weakness, it's a bodily function, like hunger. Hunger says eat, thirst says drink, pain says stop, loneliness says get back to your people. Cacioppo found something else, and this one explains a lot about modern life. Loneliness isn't one thing. He found it splits into 3 forms. The first is intimate loneliness. One person who affirms the best version of you, one who makes you feel like you matter. The second is relational loneliness. The people you actually know, friends, family, the quality of the faces around you. The third is collective loneliness, the feeling that you belong to something bigger than yourself, a tribe, a team, a people. Ancient life could provide all 3, without anyone needing to name them. The partner beside them at the fire, the 30 faces they had known their entire life, and the band itself, with its songs, its stories, its name. Modern life is strange, because you can have hundreds of contacts in your pocket and be starving on all 3 at once. Cacioppo saw it in the numbers. In 1985, the most common number of close confidants an American had was 3. By 2004, the most common answer was 0. Here's what the band gave you that a contact list never will. It made you unreplaceable. In a group of 30 people, if you vanished, everyone noticed, immediately. Not because you were special, because the fire needed tending, and the hunt needed hands, and the children needed watching, and you were one of the only people alive who could do those things. You mattered structurally. You didn't have to be interesting enough, or funny enough, or successful enough. You didn't have to earn it every morning. You just had to be there. That's a kind of belonging no follower count will ever touch. So think about that the next time you feel invisible in a crowd of 1 million. Your brain never evolved for 1 million strangers. It evolved for 30 faces. And it is still counting. But there was one specific place where that invisibility vanished completely. And then night would come. And this is where ancient humans did something that modern science is only now catching up to. They sat around the fire, and warmth wasn't the only thing happening there. An anthropologist named Polly Wiesner spent years recording actual conversations among the Juhoansi, and she noticed something odd. During the day, people talked about practical things, food, tools, who wasn't pulling their weight, but after dark around the fire, the conversation changed completely. About 81% of the long nighttime conversations became stories, myths, jokes, memories. People who weren't even present got talked about. Do you see what that means? You didn't just exist in the present tense. You existed in the group's memory, constantly. If you were sick for a week, they missed you by name around that fire. If you did something brave last spring, somebody was still telling it in winter. The fire wasn't only keeping the wolves away, it was keeping the dark feeling away. Something else was happening around that fire. Group singing, rhythmic movement, shared stories, all are behaviors associated with social bonding. So ancient humans weren't just sitting around a fire. They were doing the thing that keeps a group from coming apart every single night. But not everybody sat inside that circle. Every tribe had people at the edge. The strange one, the quiet one, the one who grieved too long and made everyone uncomfortable. And sometimes the group pushed them further out. Less food shared, fewer conversations, less eye contact. And if someone truly threatened the group, there was one punishment worse than all the others. Not violence, exile, being left behind when the band moved on. Because in that world, exile wasn't a metaphor. It was a death sentence with a slow fuse. So the edge of the tribe was a dangerous place to live. But here's the strange thing about it. Kakiopo's research found that loneliness can make people hyper-alert to social threat. Faces matter more. Tone matters more. Your brain starts scanning harder for signs that you don't belong. That may once have been useful. If belonging kept you alive, noticing the first signs of rejection mattered. But there's a catch. The same alarm that makes you watch people more closely can also make neutral signals look hostile. And that's where loneliness can begin feeding itself. So loneliness wasn't only an alarm, it was a builder. And the archaeological record shows just how deep human attachment could run. When someone died, the people left behind felt a hole in the shape of that person, and they couldn't just walk away from it. So they buried the body, sometimes with flowers, sometimes with offerings. At a place called Sungir in Russia, around 34,000 years ago, 2 children were buried head to head. Between them, they were covered in roughly 10,000 ivory beads, each one carved by hand, thousands of hours of work. For 2 children who had died, nobody spends that kind of time carving beads for a corpse, unless love and grief and connection are burning right at the center of what it means to be human. And in a cave called Qafzeh in Israel, a child of about 12 was buried with the antlers of a deer laid across their chest. The meaning is unknown, but somebody arranged them there, deliberately, in the dark. Whatever those burials meant to the people who made them, they tell us something loneliness alone cannot. Other humans mattered enormously. Connection didn't just help humans stay alive. It helped make us the kind of creature worth being alive with. Because connection is this powerful, it has a shadow side. It doesn't just bind us together. It can also pull us down together. Loneliness doesn't just hurt, it spreads. Kakiop and his colleagues went back to a famous study that has tracked one town in Massachusetts for decades, the Framingham Heart Study. They mapped who was lonely and who was connected to whom, and what they found is genuinely unsettling. Loneliness appears to spread through social networks. If your friend becomes lonely, you become more likely to be lonely. And their friend, and their friend's friend, up to 3 degrees of separation. It moves through a network the way a cold moves through a classroom. And here's the catch from earlier. Once loneliness is in you, it changes how you see the world. It makes you see danger everywhere. It makes you rate a neutral face as a hostile one. It makes you decline invitations until the invitations quietly stop coming. It feeds itself, and that is exactly why the modern version is so dangerous. Because look where we ended up. We are the safest, most connected humans who have ever lived, and a lot of us feel alone. In the US, 46% of adults report sometimes or always feeling alone. Nearly half. In the most connected society that has ever existed. We solved many of the survival problems that once made isolation so dangerous, and loneliness never got the memo. The alarm still fires. It just fires now in a world where you can be surrounded by millions of people and still feel completely invisible. A world where you can have 1,000 followers and nobody to call at 2 in the morning. A world where being left on reed trips the same ancient wiring as being left behind by the band. Because your brain isn't counting contacts, it's asking one question endlessly. Do I belong here? And a glowing rectangle full of strangers cannot answer that question. Scrolling through it is like trying to eat a picture of a meal. It looks like the thing you need, but none of it feeds you. Content was never designed to turn the alarm off. Only people can. So what did ancient humans actually do when separation put them in danger? The answer is simpler than any ritual. They depended on other people. If you became separated, finding the group mattered. If you were hurt, survival could depend on somebody helping you. If food ran short, sharing mattered. If danger came in the dark, other eyes mattered. You didn't defeat the alarm by pretending you didn't need anyone. You went back to your people, back to the fire. And once you were there, surrounded by familiar faces, that ancient alarm could begin to quiet. Not because anything had been solved. Because the body's oldest question, are you alone, finally got its oldest answer. No. Now go back to that hunter, the one who followed the tracks too far. He's still out there, standing in the dark, listening to nothing. But he doesn't stay there. The dread won't let him. Turns his feet around and shoves him toward the only thing that matters, the fire. So he walks, maybe for hours. The dark is absolute. And then, far off, a smell, smoke, then a glow, then voices. When he finally steps into the light, nobody says anything profound. Nobody makes a speech. Somebody just hands him food. Somebody shifts over and makes room by the fire. And the alarm that was screaming in his chest an hour ago goes quiet. Not because he was weak, because he was home. Thousands of generations later, the fire became a lamp. The band became a city. The camp became an apartment with a locked door. But much of the old wiring came with us. That hollow ache on a quiet Sunday, the one that hits even though you saw people all week. The sting of finding out there was a plan and you weren't in it. The way one unanswered text can quietly ruin an afternoon. That is not you being broken. It's an alarm older than farming, older than cities, older than any word you have for it. Doing exactly what it evolved to do. It's telling you something your ancestors knew in their bones. You were never meant to face the dark alone. The only real difference is they had a fire to walk toward. And somewhere in you, the fire is still burning. And maybe that's why, one day a human looked down at a wolf's tracks in the snow and saw something familiar. Another creature that didn't want to be alone. What happened next changed both species forever. That's next. The first animal that ever kept us company.